Magandang araw mga ka-aerial defense, may ibabahagi na naman ako sa inyo. Dahil ngayong araw na ito ay may pag-uusapan tayo tungkol sa depensa, Pilipinas binanatan ng Chinese Foreign Ministry. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, huwag mo muna kalimutan mag-like, share and subscribe. Manatiling nakatutok sa aming channel para updated ka sa balitang militar at West Philippine Sea. Muling nanawagan ang China sa Pilipinas na ihinto ang mga aksyon nito sa South China Sea batay sa isang screenplay na isinulat ng inilarawan nitong external forces. Ang Embahada ng China sa Maynila ay nagsalita sa tugon ni Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi sa maritime dispute sa pagitan ng China at Pilipinas. Sinabi ni Wang na patuloy na pangalagaan ng China ang soberanya ng teritoryo at mga karapatan at interes sa pandagat alinsunod sa batas. Nagbabala pa si Wang na ang paglabag at provocation ay magbabalik at ang mga gumaganap bilang mga others chess pieces ay tiyak na aalisin. Ang ibig sabihin ni Wang dito na ang pangingialam daw ng kakamping bansa ng Pilipinas ay aalisin ng China sa pamamagitan ng kanilang puwersa.
What progress have China and ASEAN countries made in the consultations on a code of conduct in the South China Sea, and what are the major obstacles? Will frictions between China and the Philippines in the South China Sea over the past year dim the prospects for consultations? And how does China plan to enhance mutual trust with ASEAN countries and remove the roadblocks in order to achieve an early conclusion of the COC?
Last year, with joint efforts by China and ASEAN countries, the South China Sea maintained peace and stability and remained the safest and busiest waters for international navigation and overflight. China and Indonesia signed an intergovernmental document on maritime joint development. China and Malaysia launched a bilateral dialogue on management of maritime issues. China has established maritime dialogue mechanisms with all countries concerned. These are proof that there is no problem that cannot be solved through dialogue and no goals that cannot be reached with cooperation. You mentioned the frictions between China and the Philippines. At an international forum a few weeks ago, an official from a regional country noted that the Philippine moves to create frictions are like a shadow play, which is a vivid analogy. For every move on the sea by the Philippines, there is a screenplay written by external forces. The show is live streamed by Western media, and the plot is invariably to smear China. People are no longer interested in watching the same performance again and again. China will continue to safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests in accordance with law. When managing the situation at Renaijiao and Huangyandao, we will also take into account the actual conditions out of humanitarian spirit. But let me make it clear that infringement and provocation will backfire, and those acting as others' chess pieces are bound to be discarded. To realize good neighborliness, lasting peace and security in the South China Sea, one needs trust and also rules. The key is to implement the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea, or DOC, and develop a sound COC. With China's facilitation, consultations on the COC are accelerating, and the third reading of the text has been completed. We have full confidence in the prospect of concluding the COC. China is ready to work with ASEAN countries to step up communication, stay clear of disturbances, and build consensus for an early conclusion of the COC, so as to make the South China Sea a sea of peace, friendship, and cooperation. Thank you.
Itinanggi ni Philippine Foreign Secretary Enrique Manalo noong Sabado ang pahayag ng kanyang Chinese counterpart na ang mga aksyong maritime ng Pilipinas ay isang screenplay na isinulat ng mga panlabas na puwersa bilang isang distortion ng tunay na issue.
Criticize Philippines' strategy, the South China Sea, calling it a screenplay of Western forces. How does the Philippines want to react?
Well, we're not going to react. I think he was speaking in a conference. Well, all I can say is what I read in the papers that, here we, in a way, we're distorting the issue. It's being cast in the light of a strategic rivalry among the big powers, when actually the issue is really an issue of Philippine interests. And it's how it affects the Philippines, has no connection to any kind of strategic rivalry among the big powers, and we think it should not be viewed that way. And if that's unfortunately the way they view it, then certainly it won't really lead to any productive talk. So we really hope that we look at this as an issue which concerns Philippine interests specifically and not any other country.
Nagbabala si Department of National Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro, nagagawa ng kaukulang mga hakbang ang mga kaalyado ng Pilipinas kapag tatangkain ng China na magpatupad ng mga restriction sa kalayaan sa paglalayag sa pinagtatalunang karagatan. Sa report ng Associated Press, sinabi ng DND chief na sa katunayan ang pinakamalaking external threat ay ang agresyon, expansionism at pagtatangka ng China na baguhin ang international law, sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng puwersa o baguhin ang kaayusan sa mundo na kontrolado nito.
Actually is Chinese aggression. Chinese expansionism and the attempt by China to change the international law through the use of force or acquiescence in its grand revival scheme or its attempt to reshape the world order to one that it controls.
Suggested Asian NATO may not be feasible now because of
The Philippines will take a combination of measures, singularly and with like-minded nations, to counteract these activities of China. Naturally, we cannot discuss the specific moves, but then again, that is a very serious transgression of international law which will demand a response.
Ang pahayag na ito ng kalihim ay kasunod ng mga engkwentro sa pagitan ng aircraft ng China laban sa mga sasakyang panghimpapawid ng Pilipinas, Australia at Amerika sa contested waters. Aniya, ang naturang hakbang ay napakaseryosong paglabag ng international law na nangangailangang pagtugon ng bansa. Saad pa ng kalihim na gagawa ang Pilipinas ng kombinasyon ng mga hakbang kasama ang like-minded nations para labanan ang ganitong mga maniobra mula sa China. Nakabuo na aniya ang Pilipinas kasama ang mga kaalyado nito ng contingency measure para tugunan ang kaparehong mga insidente. Ang nakaground na FA-50PH fighter jet fleet ay ipapakalat sa mga kaso ng emergency at pambansang seguridad. Sinabi ng Philippine Air Force noong Lunes, lahat ng 11 na FA-50 fighter jets ay administratively grounded kasunod ng March 4 crash ng fighter jet sa Bukidnon na ikinamatay ng 2 piloto. Tiniyak ni Castillo ang very thorough investigation sa insidente dahil ang FA-50PH ay mahalaga para sa pambansang seguridad ng bansa.
Kailangan na kailangan natin ang ating FA-50 for any national security concern. Kaya ako, administrative grounding lang po siya. Ibig sabihin yan, gagawin mabilisang checking lang po just to rule out material factors that could have caused the accident. Pero anytime po that we need to deploy our aircraft to address any national concern or national emergency, we're going to deploy them in the air, sir. Although, syempre, of course, safety always po ang ating kinukonsider dito. Pero kapag kailangan na kailangan po, nandyan po ang ating FA-50s para lumipad.
Ang tanong ilan ba talagang FA-50 natin ang lumilipad? Kasi may problema talaga tayo sa mga spare parts. Sinisilip din ng Air Force ang lahat ng anggulo ng posibleng dahilan ng trahedya, kabilang dito yung material, mechanical at human factors.
We cannot point out to specific cause po as of now. Kasi kailangan po natin tingnan ng masusi ang lahat ng anggulo. Mahirap pong magbigay ng speculations and conclusions as of now. Masyado pa pong maaga.
Para sa mas madaming update tungkol sa ating depensa, paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Huwag mo na rin kalimutan mag-like, share and subscribe. Pindutin mo na rin ang bell para updated kayo sa aking mga bagong video. Maraming salamat po.